Good morning, and thanks for this wonderful introduction. It is indeed a privilege for me to be here this morning, and what a time in history it is for all of us, making connections online without being in the same place. This morning, I want us to define what is assistive technology within education. I want us to develop an awareness of the need for assistive technology within the Caribbean context. And I want us to know what is required in designing a framework for assistive technology in the Caribbean. As we go through, we will reflect on the future of assistive technology as it relates to the Caribbean. Before I move on, I want us to really think about a few things. One of my first teaching jobs in Jamaica was to teach students with special needs. I came across Mick. He was approximately 10 years old. Mick had a wonderful personality. He also had cerebral palsy, which affected the way he walked. He also had a speech impediment. His muscles were always tight, and it was very difficult for him to write. Eating was also difficult. Mick was expected to do the task like his peers. As a matter of fact, the thought of the day was that the teacher should continue to allow Mick to develop his muscles by consistently engaging Mick in manipulative tasks. On reflection, the curriculum and the support structure was never designed to assist Mick in reaching his full potential. As I stand here today, because I'm actually standing, while I have not kept in touch with Mick, I often wondered what his world is like today. I wonder if the tools that we have today were applied to him, if his journey would have been different. The classification of these tools are called assistive technology because they would have helped Mick to move forward. Let us look at a definition for assistive technology. Assistive technology refers to devices and services used to increase and maintain or improve capacity of students or the capabilities of students. Assistive technology maintains and improves an individual's functioning and independence, promoting well-being. The United Nations says access to assistive technology deserves greater attention now than ever before. When we look at assistive technology, we have to look at higher completion rate. When students do not have access to assistive technology, this places them at risk of not completing their school. When we look at the community and social participation, if you do not have access to certain technologies, you can't participate. So therefore, investing in the Caribbean will allow individuals to have access to technology that will lead to social inclusion and, of course, societal participation. If our country is about human rights and the rights of our citizens, we must ensure that they have access to technology. The issue for me is the one-size-fits-all will not work. For the Caribbean to begin the journey and for Caribbean countries who have not yet started the journey, the Caribbean needs to develop and implement general guidelines for this population needing assistive technology. The guidance must use data. We have to use data to ensure that this is done. If we are not using data, it doesn't make sense. The policy must bring awareness of the need for assistive technology within an inclusive framework. Without that, it's going to be impossible. All stakeholders must be involved in building such a policy. I would say encourage the private sector and other global companies to be part of the process of supplying and, of course, forming essential partnerships. The policy must also be designed within an equity framework. It's so important that when we think about these technologies, we're thinking within an inclusive framework too. Now, I want to take you on a theoretical journey here, and I want to talk about implemented brain-computer interface, BCIs. are devices that monitor and read electronic pulses, neutral activities, and blood flow in the human brain. These devices are now being used in every element, computer, robots, and so forth. BCIs can be used for people with disabilities, elderly, and even some children now are going to be somewhat using that. Prior to this, the BCI used to have to bore a hole in the brain. It's no longer happening. They're practically going through the vein and implanting that chip into the brain to ensure that that person is able to have some level of mobility. In the future, I'm saying at this point in time, I see where our education system will have some students having that device. For example, a child having a motor issue, then they can do that to stimulate that section of the brain, to stimulate movement, as well as the control of devices. So I thought I would bring that to you. And as a matter of fact, I do have a video presentation on that. If you do check out my YouTube channel, it will be available later today. We have to improve access. And these are recommendations based on United Nations and, of course, other documentations. We have to ensure that we improve access. We have to think about the safety of the product. You can build, yes, but you have to think about the safety of the product to the individual or the end user. It must be tested. I would say that the road ahead looks bright, but we have to invest, we have to educate, and we have to ensure that we advocate for those who are in need of assistive technology. Thanks for listening.